So who is really pulling the strings? It's not just a theory, it's a strategy, and you are the target. However, like any powerful tool, the potential for misuse exists. We must remain discerning, questioning the motives and methods of groups. Our greatest strength lies in our shared commitment to integrity and accountability. From Halifax to Vancouver Island, Canadians understand the importance of community. We come together, driven by shared values and aspirations. The power of collective action is undeniable. Good intentions can pave the way for unintended consequences. Mission creep and over-reliance on charismatic leaders can distort original aims. Constant vigilance and accountability are crucial. Power corrupts, and unchecked ambition can harm groups. Gatekeeping and manipulation erode trust. Prioritizing personal gain undermines collective well-being. Corrupted agendas often distort truth. Emotional manipulation and selective information create false narratives. Media literacy and critical thinking protect against manipulation. Environmentalism can turn radical, harming its cause. Illegal tactics and misinformation hinder progress. Constructive dialogue and legal frameworks achieve lasting solutions. Identity politics can divide rather than unite. Groupthink and cancel culture stifle free speech. Embracing open dialogue and shared values builds harmony. Charitable organizations can advance political agendas. Excessive reliance on government funding creates conflicts of interest. Transparency and accountability are paramount. Howdy, folks. In this segment, we're going to equip you with the tools to spot those red flags, those telltale signs that an organization might be veering off course. Just like a skilled outdoorsman can read the subtle signs of danger in the wilderness, so too can we learn to recognize the warning signs of corrupted agendas. The first step is acknowledging that even groups founded on noble ideals can fall prey to negative influences. It's not about being cynical, but about being discerning, about knowing how to separate the wheat from the chaff. One of the first signs is a change in communication style. When an organization that once valued open dialogue and transparency becomes evasive, secretive, or dismissive of legitimate questions, it's a cause for concern. This shift can manifest in various ways, from refusing to disclose financial information to silencing dissenting voices within the group. Just like a healthy relationship thrives on open communication, so too does a healthy organization. Another red flag is the demonization of opponents. When a group resorts to personal attacks, name-calling, or the spreading of misinformation to discredit critics rather than engaging with their arguments, it's a sign that they may be more interested in preserving their power than in pursuing the truth. Remember, folks, healthy debate is the cornerstone of a functioning society. When dissent is stifled and critical thinking is discouraged, it creates a breeding ground for extremism and intolerance. Also, be wary of groups that exhibit a cult-like devotion to their leader or ideology. While strong leadership is important, an excessive focus on one individual or a rigid adherence to dogma can stifle critical thinking and dissent, creating an environment where followers are discouraged from questioning the group's direction or challenging potentially harmful ideas. Remember, a healthy organization encourages critical thinking and welcomes diverse perspectives. Finally, pay attention to the group's actions. Do their actions align with their stated mission, or is there a disconnect between their words and deeds? Are they transparent about their funding sources and how they allocate resources? Are they accountable for their mistakes, or do they engage in cover-ups and blame shifting? Remember, folks, actions speak louder than words. A group's true character is revealed not by what they say, but by what they do. Let's talk about how language can manipulate and deceive. Manipulators use emotionally charged language to bypass rational thinking and trigger emotional responses. This makes you more likely to accept their message without critical evaluation. Another tactic is using vague terms to make their message seem more appealing. Be wary of the bandwagon effect. where popularity is used to validate a claim. Now let's delve into a particularly dangerous phenomenon that can arise within groups, the cult of personality. This occurs when an individual within the group, often a charismatic and persuasive leader, becomes the object of excessive admiration, devotion, or even worship. While strong leadership is undoubtedly important, the cult of personality can be incredibly damaging, stifling dissent, distorting reality, and ultimately hindering the group's ability to achieve its goals. One of the hallmarks of a cult of personality is the suppression of dissent. The leader's word is seen as law, and any questioning or criticism is met with swift and often harsh consequences. This can range from social ostracism to more severe forms of punishment, creating a climate of fear and silence that prevents the free exchange of ideas and critical evaluation of the leader's actions. Another characteristic is the distortion of reality. The leader's version of events, no matter how self-serving or inaccurate, becomes the accepted truth within the group. This can be achieved through propaganda, censorship, or the manipulation of information, creating an echo chamber where followers are constantly bombarded with messages that reinforce the leader's narrative and discredit any opposing viewpoints. Furthermore, cults of personality often foster a sense of us versus them mentality. The leader may portray the group as being under attack from external enemies or internal saboteurs, creating a siege mentality that strengthens group cohesion, but also breeds suspicion and hostility towards outsiders or anyone deemed disloyal. The consequences of a cult of personality can be devastating. The group may become increasingly isolated and detached from reality, making irrational decisions that harm its members or the wider community. Moreover, the leader's unchecked power can lead to abuses, ranging from financial impropriety to more serious forms of exploitation. Now let's talk about how to protect yourself and your community from the dangers of corrupted agendas. Just like a sturdy roof protects us from the elements, so too can knowledge and vigilance safeguard us from manipulation and harm. Staying informed and being proactive are the best defenses against those who seek to exploit our trust or undermine our values. The first line of defense is critical thinking. Don't just accept information at face value, especially when it comes from sources that have a vested interest in persuading you. Question everything, look for evidence to support claims, and be wary of emotional appeals or overly simplistic narratives. Remember, if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Diversify your information sources. Don't rely on a single news outlet, social media platform, or opinion leader for your information. Seek out a variety of perspectives, including those that challenge your own biases. This will give you a more well-rounded understanding of issues and help you identify potential biases or agendas. Be wary of online echo chambers. Social media algorithms often create filter bubbles, surrounding us with information that confirms our existing beliefs and shielding us from opposing viewpoints. Make a conscious effort to step outside your comfort zone and engage with diverse opinions, even if they make you uncomfortable. Finally, don't be afraid to speak out against injustice or call out manipulative tactics when you see them. Silence only empowers those who seek to exploit others. By speaking truth to power, even if it's just within your own social circles, you can help create a culture of accountability and make it more difficult for corrupted agendas to take root. Now, let's move beyond individual actions and talk about building resilience at a community level. Just as a diverse ecosystem is more resistant to disease, so too can a community with strong social bonds, shared values, and a commitment to critical thinking withstand the corrosive effects of corrupted agendas. One crucial step is fostering media literacy. We need to equip ourselves and future generations with the tools to critically evaluate information, identify biases, and recognize manipulative tactics. This can be achieved through education, public awareness campaigns, and supporting organizations that promote media literacy. Next, we need to strengthen our institutions. This includes ensuring that our schools, universities, and media outlets are places where open dialogue, critical thinking, and the pursuit of truth are valued and protected. It also means holding our elected officials accountable, demanding transparency, and rejecting divisive rhetoric or policies that undermine our shared values. Furthermore, We need to build bridges across ideological divides. One of the most effective ways to counter manipulation is to foster understanding and empathy between people with different viewpoints. This doesn't mean abandoning our values or compromising our principles. It means engaging in respectful dialogue, seeking common ground, and recognizing that most issues are complex and nuanced, rarely lending themselves to simplistic solutions or black and white thinking. Finally, we need to remember that building resilience is an ongoing process, not a one-time event. As the methods of manipulation become more sophisticated, so too must our defenses. By staying informed, engaging in critical thinking, and working together as a community, we can create a more resilient and just society for ourselves and future generations. As we've seen, the ability to discern truth from falsehood, to recognize genuine intentions from manipulative agendas, is paramount in today's complex world. It's like navigating a winding mountain road, folks. You need a keen eye, a steady hand, and a healthy dose of skepticism to stay on course and avoid going over the edge. Just as a skilled navigator relies on their compass and maps, so too must we equip ourselves with the tools of critical thinking, media literacy, and a healthy dose of common sense. Remember those subtle shifts in language we discussed? The emotionally charged words, the vague promises, the attempts to silence dissenting voices. These are all red flags, warning signs that something isn't quite right. Don't be afraid to question, to dig deeper, to demand evidence for claims that don't sit well with you. It's easy to get swept up in the fervor of a movement, especially one that tugs at our heartstrings or aligns with our values. But remember, even the most well-intentioned groups can stray from their original purpose, sometimes gradually, sometimes with a sudden, jarring shift. That's why it's crucial to stay vigilant, to keep our eyes wide open, and to never surrender our critical thinking faculties to any group or ideology, no matter how appealing it may seem. Discernment isn't about cynicism or distrusting everything we hear. It's about being informed, being aware of the tactics used to manipulate and deceive, and being willing to stand up for truth, even when it's unpopular or inconvenient. Remember, folks, protecting ourselves and our communities from harmful agendas starts with each of us taking responsibility for our own thinking and refusing to be passive consumers of information. This journey of discernment, of recognizing and rejecting corrupted agendas, isn't a passive pursuit, folks. It's a call to action, a lifelong commitment to staying informed, engaging in critical thinking, and holding ourselves and others accountable for the information we consume and share. Think of it like tending a garden. You can't just plant the seeds and walk away hoping for the best. You need to weed out the harmful growth, nurture the beneficial plants, and be vigilant against pests and diseases that threaten to destroy your hard work. So how do we cultivate this vigilance in our daily lives? It starts with being mindful of the information we allow into our minds. Just as we carefully choose the food we eat, paying attention to its source and nutritional value, so too must we be discerning consumers of information. Seek out reliable sources, cross-reference information, and be wary of sensationalized headlines or emotionally manipulative content designed to trigger a reaction rather than engage your critical thinking. But vigilance goes beyond individual responsibility. It's about fostering a culture of critical thinking within our communities, our schools, and our families. Talk to your children about media literacy, encourage them to question what they see and hear, and teach them how to differentiate between reliable sources and those peddling misinformation or propaganda. And finally, folks, don't underestimate the power of your voice. If you see something that seems amiss, if you encounter misinformation or manipulative tactics, speak up, challenge it, expose it, and refuse to let it stand unopposed. Remember, sunlight is the best disinfectant, and often simply shining a light on deceitful practices is enough to render them ineffective. We face real challenges in today's world, folks, challenges that demand our attention and action. But by cultivating discernment, by embracing critical thinking and a commitment to truth, we can navigate these challenges with wisdom, courage, and a steadfast commitment to building a better future for ourselves and generations to come, hardening not only individual resolve but also community and institutional resolve. Thank you for watching. At Aegis Institute Canada, we strive to provide interesting and informative content. We encourage you to visit, like, share, comment, and subscribe to our social channels on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Unlock your future today. Enroll now for our industry-leading courses to propel your career and company forward. We invite you to visit our website and explore our many corporate security certification programs at aegisinstitutecanada.ca.